What's up, guys? Captain Jeff here, episode 5 of Catch Flights, Not Feelings. I'm with my buddy Diron, and he's also a pilot. How you doing?
Hey, man, doing pretty good.
Thanks for joining us. Why don't you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself and your background of aviation and stuff like that?
Well, first, Jeff, thanks for inviting me, man.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
And this is history. He's the first male that I've ever had in the podcast, so now you guys know I'm not sexist.
That's true. Jeff and I, as you know, going back, I don't know, 20 years, gosh, man.
Yeah.
We know each other a long time.
Yeah.
Started out in Delaware, flying together, and then just came up in the ranks. So my background with flying started out with my undergrad degree, and then I went on to pursue aviation at a technical flight school. Went from there, and then you and I flew together out of Delaware, and then from there I went to the regional airlines, and then for about 10 years, and then came over to the major airlines.
Yeah.
So now I'm a captain, and we both live in Miami. It's crazy. Kind of found the same places.
Yeah, we had a very similar career path, and back then when we were first starting out, aviation was shitty. Post 9/11, post recession, they call it the lost decade, right? We made shitty money. Now we're doing really well. Pilots get paid very well over the past 5 years. Pays come up, but we definitely paid our dues. Making barely enough to survive in the beginning, right? The first 10 years in aviation were really tough from that 2002 era to about 2012, 2013. Being a pilot was not as glamorous as they make it seem, right?
Right, exactly. So, in 2008, we had the oil crisis.
Issue, Great Recession and all that.
That was pretty crazy. So,
what do you like? We've both been doing this for so many times. You probably don't even log your time anymore.
No,
approximately, probably at least 15,000 hours.
Yeah. Right, about 12. I was out for a couple of years.
Yeah, okay.
On medical, but yeah.
So what's your favorite thing about being a pilot? Do you still love it after all these years?
I do still love it.
Do you?
I love it a lot. Yeah, I like it because it's challenging still. It's a mind shift too because we learn by routine, but at the same time, every day is different.
Yeah.
The airplanes become more sophisticated. We're both captains now.
Yeah.
So that takes a role in itself. You learn the psychology of it, leadership, management, time management, all those good things kind of intertwining together.
Yeah, people just think it's flying an airplane, but it's a lot more than that. You're the boss.
Yeah.
You're responsible for 200 lives. I mean, if a doctor screws up his job, he kills one person. If we fuck up, 200 people dead,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, they get to practice.
A lot of people don't realize that. And when if I date a girl, most of these women, they never dated a pilot, and they don't realize how much earning potential we have now.
Yeah.
So I always play a game like, oh, how much do you think a pilot makes?
Okay.
And they always be like 150, 200,000. But I tell them that pilots now can make well over 400, 500, 600,000 a year. Their jaw drops. They just don't think about it. But I'm like, listen, we're highly trained. It's a technical job. We're in charge of $100 million aircraft with hundreds of lives.
Yeah.
It's a lot of responsibility.
It is.
Right. So, and there's a lot of pressure, right? All it takes is one bad landing. Like you saw that one a couple months ago in Toronto. The pilot flipped the thing over, right?
That was crazy.
And it looked like everything was fine, stable, and then they must have just didn't flare, right? Dropped the landing gear and then rolled over.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all it takes. You can just be flying like a normal day. You wake up, go to work, put your uniform on, and then one little fuck up and people could die.
Yeah, no, it's a big deal.
No one died with that one.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You heard, I know you never did, we talked about this before, but I was just on the TV show on HBO called The Rehearsal.
Yeah.
And it was kind of crazy because when they looked me up on LinkedIn, and I had no idea if there was a scam, right? I was like, these people are just soliciting. They're like, we want pilots for a show we're doing on HBO. And I was like, this is bullshit. Anyway, it turned out to be legit.
Okay.
And they flew me out to LA.
That's
this was
crazy.
last year. And they flew me out for 2 days.
Okay.
Did all this filming. I had no idea what the show was about other than they said it had something to do with aviation. Did a bunch of pilots. Obviously, I didn't tell them what airline I worked for. Yeah. I wore my old uniform or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then this guy, Nathan Fielder, I never knew who he was before the show, but apparently he's pretty big, has a big following.
Okay.
And he did a show. Turns out, I didn't see it until it aired just a couple weeks ago. It was I think 6 or 7 episodes. I was in an episode or two, but he interviewed me for an hour, and he only showed 3 minutes of it. It's out of context, right? Okay. So a lot, I didn't even remember. He was like, tell me about that dating app that you tried to do. I was like, what do you mean dating app? I don't know if you remember this, but this 3 years prior to that, I tried to make this app called Banned.
Okay.
For people that have been banned from different types of dating apps, or people that didn't want to get worried about getting banned because we would only kick people off if you broke the law, right? It seems like these Bumble, Tinder, Hinges, they have these algorithms. If a few people report you, you're banned.
Oh,
right?
now you were banned before too.
I've been banned, yeah. So I've been banned multiple times. So But the thing is, I'm not being banned because I'm a bad person.
Right.
I'm being banned because some of these oversensitive pussies, for lack of a better word, they just report you. And they don't need a good reason. They can report you because they didn't like something you said, maybe your politics argument. You know, a lot of this was going on during COVID when people were very sensitive.
Right.
And, so my point is, a few people unmatch you, they report you just because they can, and then you're banned. It's an algorithm. There's no human beings monitoring it. So when Nathan Fielder on the show brought up the app, at first I didn't know what he was talking about because it was so long ago. I forgot it was buried in my Instagram bio still. So apparently before they flew me out, they looked me up on Instagram. They saw my history. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. So I told them about why I created banned. So the clip they showed from the show just talks about me being banned from like every dating app possible. Right? But it doesn't show all the conversation we had leading up to that. So it just makes me look like I don't know why I was banned. And I don't know because they don't give you a reason. They just tell you, you've been banned because you violated the terms and conditions. And then they give you this 100-page document. You violated one of the terms and conditions, right? So I was getting a lot of haters on these Reddit trolls after the show. They're like, oh, look at this like asshole pilot. He must be such a horrible person because he's been banned from every dating app. But in reality, it was an hour-long conversation I had with this guy. And he never it was all out of context. So, have you been banned from dating?
No, I've never been banned.
Do you ever use dating apps?
I do.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
And you're in your 50s now?
Yeah.
And you're single. Hey, ladies, he's single. You know, he's a pilot, makes good money. He's an eligible bachelor.
That's right.
So, no, but it's funny because the show focused on aviation safety, but with a comedic twist. Okay, so HBO gave him money to make the comedy, but he's passionate about aviation and trying to make aviation safer. And I didn't know this when I flew out there what the show was about. I didn't learn this once I watched the show. But he was showing a lot of accidents that happened in the past that involved co-pilots not speaking up to the captain. So, you know, like for instance, there was an accident where they didn't see the runway. The captain chose to continue. The first officer didn't really feel comfortable. He didn't speak up. They crashed, right? And he was handpicking these accidents where the contributing factor was the co-pilot not speaking up to the captain and doing a go-around, right? Or some other situation. Crash, they all die, okay? Or maybe breaking sterile, not, talking too much or whatever. And I feel like, in the U.S., that's not as much of an issue anymore because they hammer crew resource management, and the FO, the first officer co-pilot, is required to speak up to the captain if it's an unsafe. Now, the captain's the boss. He has the final say. I don't know how it is with your airline, but if we're coming into land and the aircraft's unstable, if the co-pilot says go around, the captain's required to do a go around.
Correct.
Is the same with your company?
Yeah. And unstable, you might want to tell them what unstable means.
Yeah, unstable just means in an unsafe situation to land. Maybe you're too fast, you're too high, you're not lined up with the runway.
Not on speed by 1,000 feet. Stuff like
that. And so you're required to go around, even if the captain doesn't want to, if the co-pilot says go around, okay? And if you don't see the runway by minimums, you're required to go around as well. So they'll say go around, right? And then you have to go around.
And that's extreme situations, but
yeah. So I think a lot of these that they brought up on the show where the co-pilot. So what they did was they found these like beta male co-pilots, right? Like real ones. These little pussies that don't communicate, and they're awkward shit. And they brought me on, I guess, as a show like the alpha male asshole captain, even though right. So I was one of the only like real captains they used on the show, but most of the episodes had co-pilots, and they were like too afraid to speak up. They're shy. Like one guy like didn't know like. He looked like a virgin, right? He looked like a 4-year-old virgin. This guy didn't know how to talk to the ladies, like the complete opposite of me. But would you say most pilots are pretty good at communication and they're a little bit more alpha males versus the beta guys that they portrayed on the show? What's your experience?
Get a little bit of both. The guys tend to be more alpha, more assertive.
Yeah.
But then you're the other guys that just don't care. I think as a co-pilot, you're just more like, oh, the captain will take care of it.
Yeah.
He or she, they got it.
Yeah.
So they're just more passive anyway.
Yeah.
And then when you do when we mess up or make an error, then you'd be like, yeah, why didn't you say something? So I brief my guys to speak up.
I always put in my brief, like, listen.
You do too?
Yeah, I always put in my brief, I'm like, I've been doing this for a long time, but I still screw up. So if you see anything you don't like, bring it up. We'll talk about it. That's it.
I'm the same way.
And the airline really encourages that with the training to do that in the briefing.
They do.
They threat forward briefings, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's really important. Communication is key. So that was the whole point of his little series. He was trying to like have the FAA like know that communication is bad with the airlines and a contributing factor to a lot of accidents.
Like it's all doom and gloom.
And he wanted more training as far as like role playing and communication among pilots. But I don't feel like it's an issue. I guess Congress, FAA didn't feel like it because they just released a statement to him because it's been getting a lot of press lately.
Oh, that's interesting.
They literally just released a statement saying that they think that their communication and CRM training is adequate.
Okay.
So, but Nathan had a point because the producer Nathan ended up going to flight school and becoming a pilot.
Oh.
So he's a pilot now, the producer of the show.
Okay.
And he did that 2 years prior to the show filming. So when the show filmed, none of us knew he was already a pilot that actually was a 737 rated pilot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he's like doing like odd end jobs now and stuff. Occasionally here and there, flying jobs like cargo and stuff. But it's kind of fun. I wish I knew what they were filming before they did.
I know,
but no, but it was still cool to see. But I happen to disagree with Nathan. I think that even though like for the ground portion of the training, they just touch on the communication a little bit in the simulator. If you're not communicating well as a team, and you're making errors because of lack of communication, they're not going to pass you through. You need to have good communication, right?
I think it's interesting about maybe where the guys got the training from. Because if you came up to the hard knocks the way we did, I think you get that ingrained sense of communication more than some of the guys. Like we have a program where like a flow through. They go to a certain school, they get their 1,500 hours. They can avoid all the stuff that we went through. Yeah. And they can just be flight instructors, for example. Yeah. And they get higher flying on our airplane. Yeah. Do you find guys are too assertive where they start questioning your authority with situations that pop up?
That's a good question, Diron, because you do have to balance, you have to be assertive as a co-pilot. Yeah. But if you're too assertive, we call them like 3.5 stripers. Okay. Right? There's 3 stripes as a co-pilot, 4 stripes as a captain. Right. If the guy oversteps his bounds and thinks that he's the captain and wants to call the shots, then you kind of have to put him in his place. Because you still do need one person in authority to make the decisions, right? And that's a fine line. We're both co-pilots. So when I was a co-pilot, you have to walk that line, right? And my method is like, hey, as long as the captain's not doing anything unsafe, let him do his thing, right? Okay. And then if I have to if I feel like he's screwing up, like not going to make it cross an altitude or do something, obviously you chime in. But if everyone has little different personalities and different ways they operate and different techniques, and as long as you know the difference between a technique and an actual regulation, right? If he's breaking a regulation and causing a safety issue, that's when the FO needs to chime in. Okay. Right? That's my opinion. That's how I worked as an FO. And that's what I think most of my FOs kind of do that.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, they do. I mean, simple things like when you guys take a bathroom break, who goes first? Do you tell the FO to go first or you go first?
Oh, I usually, whoever calls and says, hey, whoever's idea it was.
Whoever idea was.
Like, hey, Captain, can we do a bathroom break? That means he's probably got to go, so I just let him go first.
Okay, all right. Yeah, my airline is it's probably a cultural thing. Like in my airline, it's typically the captain would always go first.
Really? Yeah.
But now with the new generation, the guys will tell me like, oh, you can go. I'm like, no. Just to make the point, I'll say, no, you go. Okay. Just to make sure we know
you don't want him like, who's boss?
Who's boss.
Like for me, I don't, we don't really have that at my company. We don't really have that bathroom hierarchy. Okay. I don't need any of the crew meals, but it's funny how each airline has its own like little things,
nuances and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But like I said, it's more than just flying the airplane. You're managing everything, right? Like if there's a medical emergency, the captain's deciding, do I divert? Where do I divert? You have to, weather. There's a lot of variables, and each flight is so different. Each landing is so different. Right. The runway length, the winds, the weights. It's no 2 landings are the same. No, they're not. So you always have to be on your A game, especially as a captain. And if the co-pilot's messing up, you have to be able, especially since there's a lot of new pilots that are less experienced. You have to be willing and able to take controls possibly if they suck.
Did you ever?
I haven't had to do that yet, thankfully. No, I haven't had to do that. Okay. I came close before. How about you?
I did one, but it's funny. I toggled it, but the dual input didn't kick in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it was interesting. I just kind of rested the rate of descent, but yeah.
And we both fly Airbus, which is your standard, medium haul aircraft. Yeah, exactly. Holds about 195 people, goes like transcontinental flights, stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like maybe, they're getting the extended range version that's going to Europe.
XLRs, yeah.
But no, it's crazy, man. So you have to check out that show, The Rehearsal. All right. I'm on episode 2 and 3. And maybe one. It was just little bits of me talking, but it's funny because I got a lot of haters on Reddit. These Reddit trolls, right? Some people were sticking up to me, but then there's a woman on there on one of the other episodes. This middle-aged, elderly, maybe like 55-year-old woman, and she was talking about like how Einstein like makes her horny, how she loves smart guys, and one of the pilots, the guy that was awkward that didn't know how to talk to women, like the producer wanted like the women to like kind of engage him and see if he would engage her back, but she was being like super inappropriate and like just completely. But yet she was being praised on the show. Like no one was really talking shit about her because she's a female. It's just funny how like it's a different dynamic. There was a scene of me in the cockpit with a female co-pilot, and it was actually a realistic kind of simulation, and they wanted me to strike up conversation, but it's like normal stuff of like, oh, are you single, right? Like, oh, you're not married, okay, well, why is that? Just making small talk. They made it look like almost that I was flirting with her, but I wasn't. I was just making small talk. Like if you have a pilot, a co-pilot, you're gonna maybe ask like, "Oh, you married? You have kids?" Like just small talk, right? We talk about
we do every day.
We talk about finance. We talk about relationships. When you're up there for hours, you really get to know each other.
You do,
right?
Yeah.
And they made it seem like I was just like. First of all, she wasn't my type. She was like a 55-year-old woman, and she was nice, very very nice woman, but not the type that I'll flirt with, right? But even when you do have a hot female co-pilot, which is rare, maybe like 1 out of 100. First of all, only probably 5% of pilots are female, and those 5% of females, maybe only like 1% of them are even attractive, right? Exactly. So the way they edited it on the show, it made it look like I was almost flirting with her, but she was like, we had a good rapport. She was laughing and stuff, and I didn't make her feel, but I was just like, I said one thing on the show that I probably wouldn't have said in real life. I was like, when's the last time you had a relationship? She's like, I don't know. I was like 10 years ago. I was like, you don't date at all. She's like, I don't date. She said she doesn't date. I was like, you're telling me you've been celibate for the past 10 years? Now, I wouldn't have said that in the real world, but I was like, whatever, this isn't real or whatever, right? Obviously, I wouldn't have said that. But everything else.
You get all red?
Yeah. Well, she's like, yeah, I am. I was like, well, maybe I hook you up with my dad because he's been celibate for 40 years, right? So I kind of made a joke out of it, but that's probably something I would have said in the real world. Yeah. But leading up to it, like asking if someone's single or married, if they have kids, that's normal talk.
It is normal talk.
Right? Yeah.
Because we're strangers too. Like, people don't realize with our job, you just meet somebody for the first time. Yeah. And you're in this hollow aluminum tube for the next 4 days. Yeah. With this person, like right away. And those conversations come up. And
Nathan made it seem like in the show that we should talk and get to know each other before the flight. And that's bullshit because first of all, you don't have time. Like they made it a situation where people were in the crew room not talking to each other. But I was like, you wouldn't go in a crew room to meet each other before the flight. Yeah. That's where people go to relax and rest. Exactly. And eat. They don't want to be bothered. They're trying to rest. Exactly. So we got a lot of things wrong in the show. Yeah. And I'm very curious. Once you watch it, let me know.
Yeah, I will.
If you don't have an HBO, I'll let you use my login. But
okay.
But
actually,
it's like
I'll pick you up on that.
Yeah. But we usually meet at my airline, I'm sure your airline, at the gate. Right. The first time we're meeting each other, we just figure out where we're going, go to the gate. Hey, what's up? I'm Jeff. I'm Diron, whatever. Right. And then most of the talking happens getting to know each other in the cockpit. Right. Exactly. Because that's when you have a ton of time.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just it's funny how like these trolls, like they got me. They're talking so much shit. Oh, this guy's been banned from dating apps, and they make it look like I'm flirting with this female co-pilot. And meanwhile, this fucking elderly woman is talking about how Einstein makes her wet and like touching the co-pilot, making him inappropriate, and saying all this shit. And she's praised woman. So it's just a double standard how men. We have to walk on eggshells. Yeah. And then women can almost do whatever they want. Yeah. Because you'd be a pussy if you turn some woman in because she like I had a flight attendant come in the cockpit one time. So guys, when we go to the bathroom breaks, a flight attendant has to come in. And there always has to be two people in the cockpit at once, right? And one of the flight attendants came in and she started rubbing my shoulders. I was like, damn, this feels good. She was an older woman, right? Cool. But I was like, she's like, oh, you want a little, she like, a little snap. Could you imagine if I did that to a female co-pilot and just started like, hey, turn around, let me start rubbing your shoulder. Like, I'll be fired.
Yeah. I had one rub my head before. Oh, I like your bald head.
You had someone rub your head? Yeah, but stuff like that. And it's funny, it's cool. Like, I enjoyed it, but it just goes to show you the double standard.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
I think us as men, too, we just struggle in that area. Like, we don't get a free pass.
We don't
get a timeout.
No.
We got to show up. We got to do all those things. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, it's pretty crazy double standard. But, you're single, I'm single. And a lot of people think that pilots, it's hard for us to hold relationships. They're always traveling and everything. Okay. Have you ever been married?
No, I've never been married. No.
What do you think? What's the hardest thing for you dating in your 50s, number one? And number two, being a pilot, do you think it affects your dating, your ability to get and keep women? Do they get jealous? You're not home enough? What's your take on that?
I think being not married, no kids, is quote unquote bad credit. It's almost like you get better props if you were divorced with kids, paying alimony or something like that.
Because they think something's wrong with you.
Yeah.
Like, what's this guy in his 50s?
Exactly.
He's never married.
Exactly. Yeah.
Interesting.
It is interesting.
And it's just because, like, for me, I feel the same way with women.
Okay.
If women are in their mid-30s, I'm like, because women usually want to get married and have kids really young. And, like, this girl probably is crazy.
Okay.
Like why is she? But with guys, I feel like guys can get away with being a little bit older and waiting. Do you want kids one day?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we could be older. I mean, Al Pacino had a kid in his 80s, right?
Right.
You know, women have that fertility clock that we don't have.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why when a woman's hitting 40, to me, that just tells me either she's too much of a partier, like one of those girls that's 40, still thinking she's 21, going out clubbing all the time.
Or she had kids early.
Or kids early, or there's something psychologically wrong with her that she's crazy.
Right.
And she was never able to hold on to a man.
Exactly.
But I feel like with a man, it's a little bit different. Number one, we age better than women, and that's scientific fact. And number two, our semen going pretty strong, right? So it's going pretty strong until we're in our 50s and 60s.
Exactly.
We can knock women up. Guys still got to pull and pray even when you're in your 60s.
Yeah, exactly. Still got to pull and pray.
You still got to pull. That's my birth control method.
Like
pulling and praying.
Pull and pray.
Yeah, you heard that before?
Yeah. My buddy told me on Father's Day, he says happy pull-out day.
Happy pull-out day. Yeah.
On Father's Day. But I find dating in 50s, it's a little bit harder because you got to date younger. Because I still want kids. Yeah. So I find that harder.
So what's your sweet spot age range for you being in your 50s?
37 to 43.
37 to 43.
That's kind of my window. I like that window.
What are you using? You use some of the dating apps?
Yeah, use the dating apps.
Yeah. What's your biggest frustration with the dating apps?
I think I'm not as photogenic as I am in person.
Okay.
So I was talking to my buddies about that just yesterday. We were talking about how I do well in person.
You do well in person, okay.
As opposed to the dating apps.
And how about the dating apps, how much time it takes? I was reading statistics. It takes the average man 100 times of swiping to get one match.
Wow.
And then out of those one match, only a small percentage of people meet up.
Yeah, I get
so
that.
they're very, very time consuming and superficial.
I think I connect with people that swipe that like me first more
than I
do, than the other way around. And then it depends on where you are. Mm-hmm. If I'm in New York, I get much more love than I do down here in Miami.
That's part of the reason why I made +1, because less superficial.
Yeah, it is.
Like you're looking at the plans first.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, that looks cool. Then you see the person that posted them, and then you request to join. You don't have to figure out, I'm going to get coffee with her. I'm going to go. You post what you want to do first, and then these ladies request to join you.
I love that. Yeah, I like your app a lot.
Yeah. So I think... Cool. Yeah, a lot of these dating apps are just extremely superficial and time-consuming.
They take a lot.
Yeah, I thought there was a big need for this. So I'm really excited. We just launched this week. So.
Yeah, I was about to ask you, when did you launch? This week it launched.
Yeah, we just launched, and we're going to start advertising it.
All right.
I had my first +1. So I had there was a woman. I had a banner tower up. I told you about that. Oh, no
way. Really?
For Memorial Day, we had a banner up the beach in South Beach. It said, "Sick of dating apps? ? Join +1."
No way.
And someone actually... some female, she was the first person on +1 to post plans for a +1. And she wanted to go to brunch at this place called Breakers in Palm Beach. Have you heard of it? Yeah. So I was like, you know what? She's the first person to post on here. I'm going to request to join. Whatever. Yeah. So I requested to join. Now I'm fucking stuck driving up to Palm Beach next week, paying like $200 on brunch. But I thought it was like history. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
And I was like, how did you find about it? She said, from the banner.
Oh, I love that.
So once we started marketing, getting the Instagram, TikTok ads going, and we're doing events, I think more and more people are going to start using it and posting content.
I told my buddies about it too.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, you made a profile, right?
Yeah,
thanks for making a profile. Start posting some plans in there.
That's what you got to do.
We're gonna start getting people using it, so you might actually have real people requesting to come with you as your +1.
Yeah, I like that. And it's not just geographically limited to Miami or anything, right?
No, you can download anywhere in the country right now. We're just focusing on marketing in Miami initially until I get that investor.
Okay, good. All right.
But if you know your rich guys want to invest, we're trying to scale.
Yeah.
But no, that's crazy, man. Like I was Swim Week is going on now.
Yeah,
and you saw my story yesterday.
That was pretty cool.
I was in heaven yesterday. So my partner Angie's friends with a famous swimwear designer called Hatfished. And he got us into this event. We were able to get VIP backstage, and all these women are just like in these beautiful bikinis, half naked.
I saw the outfits.
Like from all over the country they came in. And here I am sitting backstage. I was like one of the only guys. And then this woman, and I was like chatting some girls up, not being creepy. I'm just like, oh, do you do content? I'm trying to get them to make content for Plus One. I got a lot of good connections, good Instagram. So some of them are good to make content for us. But there was a time when one of the women were like, oh, sir, could you leave? Because the women need to get changed into different bikinis. I was like, no, it's okay. I'm gay. I won't look. It didn't work though. So they kicked me out. But it was fine. But and then my friend Tracy, she does some work for Plus One. She had a nice fancy camera. So the only person that was back there was a cameraman and all these hot girls. So I was like, Tracy, give me your camera. Maybe they'll kick me out. Right? So I put the camera around my neck and just pretend like I'm taking photos. Right?
They let you in?
Yeah, I stayed in the next time. Yeah, the next round they had to change. But the girls like would turn around. I'm not trying to be a creep. No. You know, I get that. I feel like you're creep enough as it is, just being back there.
That's kind of cool.
But it was cool. We're actually doing a show tonight in Midtown. So if you don't fly.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah.
I know you're on call.
Yeah.
What's your see if I have any question. What's like your biggest, like, if you're dating a girl, right? Do you have any like major red flags? Like I was on a date with a girl and she demanded me, like she got mad because I sent her an Uber and it was a regular Uber, not an Uber Black, and she got mad. And then I fucking canceled that shit. Wow. And I was like, no, this ain't happening. Wow. Well, how do you handle women, because especially in Miami, that are super entitled and high maintenance, that they want to be taken to that 5-star restaurant on the first date, right? $400 on a first date is a big commitment. It's crazy. Even though we're ballers, we make like $400,000 or $500,000 a year being a pilot, you know, we don't want to spend that much money on the first date unless you know you like a girl, right? So how do you handle these girls? I don't know where you live, a little bit more north, out of Miami. Do you run into that ever? And if so, how do you handle it?
Yeah, I do run into that. I think I ask myself core questions, right? So, hey, let's meet up for a drink at the bar. And they'll come back and suggest, oh, you know, this restaurant just opened. Let's sit down and get a spot at the restaurant to eat. So for me, that's a red flag. Like, let's sit down at a bar.
They're looking for a free meal. Maybe.
They're looking for a free meal. Yeah. And the flight attendants tell me, like, they school me on it. They're like, yeah, I go out with guys just to get a free meal. Yeah. Flight attendants tell me that all the time. So I kind of already know. Or if they do make it to the date and you go out, for me, I come from a background of cops and law enforcement. So I have this innate desire to sit with my back towards a wall, you know, with a wall, like now. I want to see what's going on in front of me. Yeah. And it's a problem when a woman tries to sit in the power seat, I call it.
On the comfortable seat with the cushion, with the better view?
Well, no, with the better view. It's more like just a better view, you know, part of it. And, you know, we kind of talk about those things and say, well, you know, no, it's okay if you sit here. So that's a big red flag for me, too. I'll still have dinner. Yeah. But I'll have a conversation afterwards. Yeah. And if they still kind of come off alpha-ish, then that's a turn off for me. That's
a funny you say that, because I always make jokes when I take girls out on dates and they have the table, one that has like the awkward chair facing like the kitchen or something stupid, and then the cushion chair facing the good view. Right. They always pick the cushion, right? Of course. You know, I'm not trying to cop block myself, so whatever. I suck it up. I just let them take the comfortable chair. And I'm like, fuck, why is like every girl always get the better seat? I'm the one paying for this shit. I know. But that's like, that's pretty girl privilege, right?
It's pretty good privilege. It is. After the first stuff, something like that happens, sure. But once you get into, okay, the third or fourth date with this person, okay, now it's more like I'm interested in this person. Let's see where it goes. Now we got to start putting some, you know, leadership roles in there, you know. Yeah, because
women want you to be a gentleman and they want that traditional, like, let the man be the man, let the woman be the woman. Part of that comes where I'm not going to do everything that you say. You know, sometimes I'm going to have to be the man and make the decisions. And I'm the leader, you're the follower, right? And if women, they can't have their cake and eat it too. A lot of these women, they want you to do pretty much everything they say. And if you don't, they say you're not a gentleman. Right.
But then you're a beta.
But then you're beta, right. So you have to want that balance between being alpha, but also still having some gentlemanly qualities, right? So that's I feel like with the Russian girls and Ukrainians that I did here in Miami, like they just want guys that are little bitches that will do anything they say. You know, open the door. Yeah, God forbid you don't walk on this side of the road, right? Or you're walking a tiny bit too fast. Like they just nitpick so much. And if you don't do everything that they expect you to do, they just label you as not a gentleman. Or if like you don't pay for that $500 dinner, you're not a gentleman, right? They use the word fucking gentleman so much and label you. And I'm like, listen, I'm the man. You're the woman. You want the traditional roles. Know your fucking place. Right? You know, so
that's a big one.
Yeah, I'm all about the traditional roles if that's how you want to play it. But then you can have the traditional roles, but then also want to call the shots.
I agree.
Because that's not traditionally speaking, men were always had the power in the household. Women didn't even have the right to vote, till however many years ago. So they want to be traditional and have the man pay for everything and be the provider. we can't be the provider. Plus, have you walk all over us and do whatever the hell you want.
Exactly.
So it's that balance.
It is a balance.
Right? Yeah.
You definitely need that balance. Yeah. I think that a lot of times they just don't have that upbringing. You know? And I'm in my 50s. I don't want to teach somebody.
Yeah,
at this age.
And then, also the internet made it crazy because these girls that are hot, they get so many men propositioning them online for
crazy
thousands of dollars.
That we talked about with the watch a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it was just, some guy bought this girl that I was hooking up with a fucking $25,000 Cartier watch.
That's crazy.
And it's crazy. I can't compete with that. Even if I could, I wouldn't want to. No. I wouldn't want to spend that type of shit on a woman, right? I mean, maybe if I was worth $100 million and that was $20,000 was worth $500.
It's all relative, right?
It's all relative.
She's gonna break up with you and still go with somebody else.
Yeah,
to watch.
That's why I told people on my last podcast. I was like, anyone that's paying for girls' plastic surgery, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. Because another guy's gonna be tapping that ass in a fucking couple months anyway.
Easy.
Happens all the time. I told him, I was like, you better put some sort of contract. I own that pussy for a year, get my money's worth.
Right. Exactly.
But they're not gonna sign that contract.
No, of course not.
Just I kind of want if I take a girl out to eat, a lot of times these girls order too much. They just want all the photos with the food. Yeah. I'm like, listen, I'm gonna make a new rule. You can order what you want, but if you don't finish it, you're paying for half of it.
Love that.
Right?
You know what? I love that.
That wouldn't fly, obviously, but that's something I'm going to start doing.
Yeah, no, seriously. They'll take it to go home.
Yeah.
They'll take it to go.
Well, they'll order a $35 drink and have 2 sips.
Yeah, dude.
What the fuck?
You want to get a bottle.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't feel like you need to order a drink just to have a drink to take a photo with. Drink that shit if you're going to order it.
Do you think it's more the ones that's more in shape or less in shape that do that?
Less in shape.
The less in shape ones tend to be the more gluttonous.
Oh, I would guess so because first of all, I don't date girls that are not in shape. Okay. No offense, ladies. Big girls need loving too, right? But obviously, Diron likes that big booty, I'm sure. But for me, there's a such thing as a too big of a booty.
Okay.
But no, I think from common sense would tell me, if the girl's fat, she's probably gonna order a lot more food, right? That just
well, they lie about their profiles, right?
Oh, that's one of the biggest complaints I have.
So much,
dude. Let me tell you, I happened at the swim show yesterday. I was backstage. I was sitting next to this girl. Now she looked like let's say a 7, right? Okay. Same with her, talking, just making small talk with her. We're backstage at the swim show. Turns out. We exchanged Instagram. I was already following her and I already messaged her. Her Instagram, she looked like a 10 or 11. Like the photos, the thong, but in person, she was wearing these baggy, baggy pants, loose fitting clothes. Now, maybe when she gets naked or whatever, or in lingerie, she still has that body. Yeah. But so even it goes to show you what a woman wears is going to be affecting whether I want to talk to them or not. So that's not necessarily a catfish. I think it's a big thing where a lot of women look a lot thinner in photos than in person.
100%.
But even if you do still have that amazing body, if you show up wearing baggy clothes, I'm not going to look twice at you because I can't see it, right? You got a pretty face, but okay, she's pretty cute. Okay. But if she wears a dress that's form fitting and cleavage, and you see her body, you're like, holy shit, right? Or these little booty shorts that girls wear at the gym that are super tight. You see their ass. So it's just funny, and that's what always pissed me off. Girls wear this shit where it shows their ass and their tits, and then they get upset that they get attention. Right. If you don't want attention, wear a hoodie and baggy pants. I guarantee you. No guy's gonna be talking to you.
I don't understand that either.
Yeah. Yeah. So that'd be like me with my big biceps you see here, getting pissed. A girl staring at it. I go to the gym. I work hard for this shit. It's true. I wear tight clothes. Right. I wear mediums. I could probably get away with wearing a large. Right. But I wear mediums to show off my muscles. Okay. It's the same. Right. It's the same thing with girls. If you're wearing these booty shorts that are showing your fat ass look even fatter, you're gonna get some attention. Right. If you're you're asking for it, you're asking for it.
Yeah, we like the attention though.
Yeah, they like the attention.
No, we like the attention.
Oh, we like. Yeah, I love it. I'm all for girls dressing slutty. Right. I love it. But you can't get mad at me for spitting game to you if you're dressing like a slut, right? I
love that. Yeah,
and just a beautiful analogy last night. The girl, I was like, fuck, on her Instagram, she was one of the hottest girls I've seen. Mm-hmm. When I'm sitting next to her in person, I didn't even recognize her. Wow. And she wasn't even a catfish just because of what she was wearing.
Sure, that's interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, if she was one of the girls that was ready to do the dance and she was in her thong and stuff, maybe I would have thought differently. Yeah, it's just crazy.
It is crazy.
So same thing with guys. Girls always complain to me. Guys lie about their height, or maybe they. You ever hear this thing called hatfished? Guys wear hats to cover the fact that they're bald. Okay. Or balding, right? You own it, obviously. Yeah. But a lot of guys, it's called hatfished, right? Or another one's funny. It's called beardfish. Guys. A lot of guys grow beards.
Okay.
A lot of ugly guys grow beards to make themselves look hotter. And they shave and they look like a weirdo because the beard covers up. They could give them a jawline. It covers up their face. Like guys like us that are handsome, obviously we can't because we're pilots. Right. But you know, handsome guys don't need to grow beards. No offense, guys with beards, but usually ugly dudes are growing beards. Okay. And women think it's hot because it makes them look hotter. They got tattoos. They got a beard. They look all tough and cool. Yeah. But at the end of the day, they're just trying to cover up their ugly face.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Love that.
I'm going to get a lot of guys hating me on that, but that's just my opinion. But yeah, man, I think we're pretty much out of time.
Oh, man. Okay. That's cool.
That was a quick 37 minutes.
Yeah,
but
man.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you so much for coming out.
Yeah, definitely, man. Always a pleasure.
And I hope you don't fly today because I want you to come on.
I come on out tonight.
Yeah, come on out today and you get to see what I experienced last night.
Yeah,
You're going to be in heaven.
All right, cool.
It was beautiful. So check out Diron, ladies. He's on Instagram and stuff. Single guy, really one of the best guys I know. He's a good guy.
Good stuff. Same here, man. Feel proud of even all you're doing too.
Yeah,
man. Yeah,
thank you.
Doing good.
Thanks for your support and everything I've been doing. And it's good being your friend for 20 years.
Yeah,
and,
it's good stuff.
Check us out, episode 6 next week. I have another interesting guest, and see you next time.